Jeff and Jeremy here online at KZOZ.com. In a second here, we're going to talk to Mr. Skin. He's got his big Anatomy Awards. He's been doing this for quite some time now. This is the 22nd year, the 22nd Annual Anatomy Awards. And, his specialty is picking out and telling you what actress did what nude scene in what movie and exactly what happened. So we took that to the next level by offering up a different categories, like the best lesbian scene or the best full frontal. This year, I can't wait to ask him about the best burning bush.
Oh, is that redhead? That's
I can't. All I can see is a picture of something on fire. So, anyways, I guess we got him here ready to go now. So. Let's bring in the Skin Master, celebrating his 22nd year of the Anatomy Awards with a category I don't remember seeing in the past 22 years, Skin, and that is the burning bush.
No, that's right. And normally, and I've been doing my Anatomy Awards on your guys' show forever. This is my 22nd annual, and usually I do it in February or early March, but the 93rd Academy Awards happens to be this Sunday on ABC, so it's like, we always do the Anatomy Awards right around Oscar time, so it's a little later this year, but when you have an award like Best Burning Bush, you have to, you don't mind when in the year it happens. So,
so Jeff says
but I'll
to me,
tell you, let me explain that. For people out there, so, we have all these great awards this year, and one of the fun things about my Anatomy Awards is being able to curate all this weird and crazy stuff, because we go through every movie and television show, not only from the U.S., but all over the world. And this happened to be from a Australian-Irish collaboration, a comedy drama called Animals. And in this scene, there's a group of girls at a bar, and they're doing shots, having a good time. And one of the girls, Amy Malloy, decides she's going to strip completely nude and dance on the bar. But when she gets on the bar, she's crawling on all fours and doesn't realize there's a candle. And she, let's just say, causes a little fire down below, if you will. And it's a crazy, wild scene. And something I've never seen in the 22-year history of the Anatomy Awards, the best burning bush.
It wasn't just a redhead. I just figured it was a redhead.
Yeah.
Not the case.
No, it was a real, biblical burning bush.
On fire. Gotcha.
It's funny, I'm looking at a lot of these titles, and I'm not familiar with a lot of these movies.
Which makes sense, because you guys have a life,
Yeah, explain to us how you find these and where we can watch some of these movies and where you're pulling this stuff from.
Well, we do, a lot of it now is, especially in 2020, was pay-per-view. I mean, there wasn't a lot of theater stuff, obviously, and a lot of movies, instead of going to the theater and then later on being available as a rental or on pay-per-view, went right to pay-per-view. So from that regard, things got out quicker than normal. But, I was worried that there wouldn't be a lot of content for this year's Anatomy Awards because there were a number of television shows that had to halt production during the pandemic. And, I just thought that we'd be light on content, but there's just so much stuff now that it doesn't even matter. Even a pandemic couldn't stop us from having, 30-plus great categories for the Anatomy Awards.
Yeah, I got to imagine for your research team, it might have been a little bit harder this year because you don't get that release buzz that you did. It seemed like whenever a movie came out or a TV show came out this year, they just kind of released it and hoped for the best. You didn't get a lot of press leading up to it.
Right, yeah, and we didn't know when we'd go through stuff if it was going to have nudity or not. A lot of times we had, people that would see screeners and stuff ahead of time, or there'd be, film fests ahead of time where we would know the answers, and we were flying blind, but it was a fun year as far as finding some of this stuff, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, just a quick time out from this for a second. I wanted to ask you about how life in Chicago has been through the pandemic, because we're out here on the West Coast and we know how kind of things are going here, and everything's closed down, restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And I was getting to talk to somebody the other day about Chicago hot dogs. And I was like, I know somebody in Chicago, but we've talked pizza before, but we've never talked about hot dogs. Now, during the pandemic, did you guys just eat at home? Did you get a lot of takeout?
Yeah, we ate at home because you couldn't go to restaurants. We did a lot of takeout, trying to support the local restaurants and things. But as far the big rule in Chicago, we're known for hot dogs that it's just a city that's known for their hot dogs, is no ketchup. That's the big one. No ketchup on a hot dog here.
Really? So if I show up and put a ketchup, I mean, I might get my ass kicked.
We'll look at you. I mean, we're already going to look at you a little strangely, but you throw ketchup on, forget about it. So.
All right.
I gotta admit, normally this happens on your website, okay? And this is where I click on something, and then I click on something, and I click on something, and then 4 hours goes by, and I'm like, what the hell happened in the last 4 hours?
And where's my life? Yeah.
And I've been pissing Jeremy off this morning because I'm not paying attention to a word he's barking at me from across the counter because I'm so enthralled with Cameo. Are you familiar with Cameo?
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Jeremy said you should ask Mr. Skin if he'd ever consider doing Cameo, but I think you're too busy of a person to do Cameo.
No, it's not that. I just, yeah, it's funny that the company Cameo is a Chicago-based tech company, so I know some people that work there and stuff. So it's kind of cool to see the success and all the money they raised and all that. But I don't know. I feel like I already go on the radio and talk to people so much that I never thought about doing that, and I don't even know if people would want a Mr. Skin thing. So
I know. I know. I have friends that ask me about you all the time, and literally when we were up in Eastern Washington, and we were we talked to you for the first time, and you sent us the skin encyclopedias.
Yeah.
I gave him one, and he loves it. He talks about you all the time. He's like, you still talk to that guy? Like, you have fans out there. I mean, you have people that are big time fans.
Like, if hanging with Mr. Cooper's getting $25 a video, I mean, come on, you gotta get a little bit better than that.
No, I'm always amazed. Like, before the pandemic, I used to go to Vegas all the time for AVN shows, and sometimes we'd even have a booth where we'd promote Mr. Skin and all this other stuff. And I'd always be amazed how many people would come up to the booth and say, "Oh man, I heard you on this show," or "I know you from this or that." And it always blew my mind because I sit here, I'm in Chicago. My team's been working remotely. I've been sitting in my house for a year and a half, whatever. I don't think of what I do as being famous, but there are a lot of people. You don't even know, like, when my son joins his new team, I don't go around saying what I do for a living. Nothing happens, but inevitably, every dad pulls me over to the side, like, "Hey, I'm a really big fan of what you do, man." It's, and it always amazes me. Always amazes me.
It's so funny because early on, you were able to get away with that caricature picture, which is looks nothing like you, but it's the logo, it's the icon for Mr. Skin.
Right.
And nobody, there's some mystique, but as we move through this era of internet and everybody's got to have access, eventually people find out what you look like. I would have think that, like back in the day, man, if you could get a cameo from Mr. Skin, you get to see what he actually looks like, that'd be kind of cool.
No, it is funny that, it is that people know my voice more than my face, but you can find my face on the internet if you want. It's not as horrible as some people might think, that they think I live in my mom's basement and have I'm a huge fat guy with like tape between my glasses or something. But no, but again, like, for doing it so long, I truly don't think about it anymore, and it always surprises me when someone is impressed. Let's put it that way.
We're talking to Mr. Skin and the 22nd Annual Anatomy Awards, which are happening right now. They've already happened. You can go to MrSkin.com. You can see this. They've got all the winners there from the original category, which was what? Best breast?
Yeah. Historically, we've always done awards like Best Breast, Best Butt, Best Lesbian Scene. Those are standard, but then every year we find quirky, crazy stuff like the Best Burning Bush and create a new category for that. Those are the ones I really enjoy. But yeah, we're always going to have Best Breast, Best Butt, and in those scenes. That's just a given every year.
So talk about some of the deep dives this year. I saw something that said fuzzy testicles. What was that about?
No, not fuzzy testicles.
I'm not watching that one. I'm not seeing that one.
Best fuzzy tentacle sex.
Tentacles.
Tentacle, but very good. But so there's a show called Lovecraft Country from HBO, which is like a sci-fi horror show, and one of the stars of the show was Jamie Chung, who became a Real World. She was like on season 14 of the Real World as she was a reality star and made the jump to acting, and she's having sex with Jonathan Majors in the 6th episode of this first season. And it's normal. She's nude. He's nude. Look, great sex scene. And all of a sudden, these fuzzy tentacles start shooting out of her eyes and ears and nose and mouth and other parts of her body and attached to him. And it is the weirdest thing. Now, they obviously did it with CGI. It didn't really happen, but boy, was it crazy. And it had to be an Anatomy Award. It was our best fuzzy tentacle. Not the other thing you thought.
Okay. Sorry, I've got to put my glasses on.
I don't want to see that one.
Okay,
yeah,
the last
things
one.
you'll miss without your readers.
MrSkin.com, by the way, you can check all this out. But the last one I'll ask you about is, what is a mukbang?
Oh, that's a great one. And you know what? I got to say, I wasn't familiar with this, but my team was really big into this. And it's a Korean term, mukbang, and it involves like eating and interacting with people where you like, and it's very popular, especially in Asian countries, where they'll have someone who will interact with an audience while eating a ton of food and getting it all over and stuff. And it's a fetish. And in Perry Mason, the HBO show with Matthew Rhys, in the first episode, Madeline Zima, better known as the daughter in The Nanny, who's now all grown up, is having sex with a guy, and she's covered with pies and cakes, and he's going to town, and she's covered in all this. And it's a really crazy scene, but our team thought of it as being the best mukbang scene. So I had to get up to speed on it, but that's what it is. And if you watch the clip, it's really wild. It aired June 21st of 220, our best mukbang.
You're sitting there looking around and you're like, oh yeah, I got a great mukbang, and you're like, what?
So
what?
weird.
Do you know the guy or the woman's or the person's name that came up with that category for the Anatomy Awards this year?
On your staff.
Yeah. And does he get credit for it?
It's a she.
Oh, it's a she.
Oh yeah, I didn't call her out in it, but she. In our meeting, I was very impressed and made sure she knew that great work out there. Great work.
Do you think she called her mom and said, "Mom, great day at work. I came up with the best mukbang scene for the Anatomy Awards."
I think all the time of, I have kids and stuff in high school, and I think of like dads that like, are doctors saving lives, or like lawyers winning big lawsuits and really come home all proud, and like I'm at the dinner table with the best mukbang scene. I had a little different life.
It's so funny. I was just thinking I would be bragging. I'd be like, yeah, man, check out the Anatomy Awards this year. I came up with mukbang.
Yeah, best mukbang, yeah.
All right. Well, it's always fun talking to you.
There's like 35 categories. It's all free at the front page of Mr. Skin if anyone wants to check it out.
All right, so MrSkin.com, of course, the 22nd Anatomy Awards. I'm all tongue-tied now. Anyway, Skin, great talking to you. Thanks for reaching out.
Always great, guys. Take care.
All right, there he goes, Mr. Skin. And you can check it out on his website once again. And the number one rule, the number one thing I'll take away from this is if I ever go to Chicago, never put ketchup on your hot dog.
And he's too proud to do some Cameo, I think. That's what I was picking up there. He's like, Cameo's not really my thing. Leave that up to Mr. Cooper.
I think he's doing pretty good at this Mr. Skin thing.
Yes, exactly. Too busy. Like I said, too busy.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.